The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. We are live to tape. It is December 29th, 2021, episode number 428. And today, NOOSPHERE Now. My name is Gonz, trying to run multiple things here. Your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And just before we get started, quick note, Learbag 3000, your intro will commence in the year 2022. So stay tuned for that. This is the last episode of 2021. I believe, if my math is correct, we published 146 episodes of Canary Cry News Talk this year. And that's a lot of episodes. And considering each one probably averages between 2 hours, 2.5 hours to 4 hours, 4.5, something like that. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of information. Thank you to everybody who has been with us, minute by minute, or just tuning in every once in a while. We appreciate you. We appreciate the producers who help make this show happen. And so, and once again, Basil's not here. He really did try to make it this time, but it was not happening. So, okay, let's see. I'm trying to change some thumbnails as I do this here. This is the definition of multitasking. Okay, so where are we? What are we doing? Where are my notes? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Oh no, something happened to my document. That is not good. Hold on 1 second. Control Z. Oh, here we go. All right, last show of 2021. Okay, so I was trying to think back to this last year and thinking, okay, where were we at the turn of 2020 to 2021? We made some weak predictions, Basil and I honestly don't want to really even revisit those because they were so generic. So I wanted to throw out just one prediction. This is not like a prophecy. This is just a prediction as to a potential story or storyline or a narrative, because this is news talk to be more specific, in 2022. So I'm putting this in the red book. Basil will have his 2022 prediction news narrative next year, at the beginning of next year, which is just a few days away. But basically, my whole theory is that in 2022, we will see some kind of... oh my gosh, what happened to my notes? I had it all in front of me, and now it's all gone. Maybe they don't want me to say it. All right, where did it go? Oh, yeah, okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay, yes. 3D printing homes to solve homelessness will become a very publicized, hot political topic, and it's my opinion that somebody will create a DAO. There it is, DAO. For you people tracking, every time I say DAO, you take a sip of water or something. Somebody will produce a DAO that will be connected to a 3D printing thing, and it'll be presented as, hey, we're going to solve homelessness. And I can picture that becoming a hot political topic in the news and everything else. So, and part of that has to do with, I was kind of thinking back to a few years here. Well, first off, at the beginning of last year, if you guys remember, there was that big Seattle AR, augmented reality fireworks show event where the Space Needle had all these tentacles and DNA strands, and it was all crazy. I think that's just the beginning of what we're going to see here in terms of augmented reality, virtual reality. This year was the year when the topic of the metaverse went from just sort of in the fringes of people in crypto or people into futurism to all of a sudden Facebook changing their name and billions of people on the earth suddenly know about the metaverse. So that was a big change this year, and I think that will only intensify and continue to roll out with different narratives, different applications of the technology. And so we are moving into this technocratic society. And part of the reason why I thought about that whole homeless 3D printing concept is because back in 2017, maybe it was 2016, when we were going into 2017, Trump had won the presidency. People were freaking out. Mainstream media was like, oh my gosh, this tragedy. Trump is president. This is madness. And so The Economist had this cover, The World in 2017, where they had 8 tarot cards, and each one had their different things going on. Judgment with Trump sitting on a rolled up U.S. flag on the earth and things like that. But there's one of them, it's called The Magician. And the magician, clearly, if I could zoom in here, is a man wearing a VR headset with the infinity symbol above his head. And it's sort of like a religious style here of artwork. He's got kind of a red robe on, or just an over robe thing. He's got a staff in his hand, but he's wearing the VR goggles, and that infinity symbol is kind of what Meta's M looks like. Facebook now, Meta, their M logo is based on the infinity symbol, and the individual here is pressing with his left hand, his left finger, index finger, a button on a box, which is a 3D printing machine, and it's printing homes. So that's kind of where I get the idea that, hey, maybe they're planning to roll out the part of the homelessness being over, or at least tackling the problem of homelessness in San Francisco, Los Angeles. It will not be necessarily government subsidized programs, but rather just somebody with a DAO being like, hey, we're going to do it. And, they'll get publicity. They may run into some legislative issues or something like that, legally, but that'll be a point of discussion. Like, hey, the government doesn't want you to really do this, or if they want to be part of it in a way that, they have some kind of bureaucracy over how it all plays out. But, this will become a way to get all those people that are homeless not just into homes, but also tap into the metaverse. If all these 3D printed homes come equipped with internet and VR headsets or something like that as part of maybe when the government does come in and it's part of the subsidized program or something, they can issue that to the homeless. And now all of a sudden you have all these homeless people in the metaverse, quote unquote, working, doing play to earn, doing learn to earn, and all these different new systems. They're in there, they're earning money, and then they can get taxed, and the government can get their money back. So, anyway, sorry, wacky whack in the chat. Gonz not shutting the mouth there. Yeah, okay, so anyway, that's kind of the overall grand picture there, but more specifically, this whole 3D printing and homelessness being an issue in 2022. Just a prediction. As more and more topics go mainstream that we've been looking at or have been sort of brewing under the mainstream headlines. And the other part of that, and more generically, I think we might see kind of a boomer boom in the metaverse. I think the boomers will be the first people to really adopt the VR AR devices, especially because they're being led there, hand in hand with Meta. All those people that can't get off Facebook, that are pretty much addicted. And it is an older generation on Facebook. I think we'll see a boomer boom in the metaverse. The first occupants, the first people traversing throughout the metaverse will be people that are already, probably financially set or retired or something like that. And, but a lot of the stories we'll cover today have a little bit to do with that. I think we're starting to see a a revealing of something that we talked about a long time ago. I first heard about it from Derek Gilbert of PID Radio and Skywatch News now, and he had talked about Teilhard de Chardin, who was a Jesuit from the 1900s, and he had presented this concept called the noosphere or noosphere. And it is defined in the Merriam-Webster as the sphere of human consciousness and mental activity, especially in regard to its influence on the biosphere and in relation to evolution. And so it's the stuff that has to do with the mind, the consciousness, the mental capacities. And this is a pure setup, I think, for, I know you guys are sick of hearing me say it, but the metaverse. It truly is. It's everything we've been talking about. And we'll get to the big story that, I guess it's just a big stepping stone in that direction. The Merriam-Webster here does note that probably first used by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin in a 1925 essay, La Hominisation, published in La Vision du Passé, Paris, 1957, volume 3 of his Ouvres, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, page 89. So yes, he was the first one to talk about it. And I have some quotes from Teilhard de Chardin, which are interesting to consider as we go into today's show. And by the way, today's show is going to be a little bit shorter. I have some, I just cut it down, and we're going to just have one break to thank everybody and everything else. So yeah, just for those of you who think I'll ramble on forever, no, I will stop rambling at some point. But in the meantime, back to Teilhard de Chardin's little quote here. Someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love, and then for a second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. Very interesting quote, especially considering, the discovery of fire being associated with Prometheus, and that connection to Lucifer and everything else, and also this idea that they're going to harness for God. Why are we harnessing the energies of love for God if God is the one that is love? I don't know. It's just a weird type of thing. And then mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity. This concept that man will take control over creation is very much part of the mystery religions, alchemy, all that kind of stuff is controlling the elements. And it also plays into the climate change conversation politically and geopolitically as part of the New World Order infrastructure. You can see why they're doing that. They want to control the winds, the waves, the tides, the gravity, and they want to do it in a way where the public basically funds it because they want that. They want to control wind, waves, and all this stuff when clearly we know that the elite have been pursuing that for generations and have probably made quite a bit of progress in the last century. And then this other quote by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin: "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." And there's some passages in I think 1 Corinthians that I wouldn't say go against this, but it does sort of bring a clearer picture to what our duality is, if you will, our mind-body kind of thing going on, or spirit-body. But this quote is interesting because, basically he's saying that we are non-physical entities, but we're having this human experience, this physical flesh experience. And yes, I do believe it's true. I've heard pastors even repeat this line, by the way. So this is something that, I think it's kind of understood as a generally true statement. But in the context of what Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was talking about with the noosphere, I think this connects right with the thing I ranted about in the last episode about a worldwide network of communication that used to exist, some kind of Akashic records type of thing, information network that we're rebuilding. And it's because the noosphere, as I guess visualized by some, is divided from the geosphere and the biosphere. So if you look at the artwork for today's episode, you see a sphere, concentric spheres or rings. And I used kind of the, I think it's like a 16-bit background with the square kind of portal thing going on because, you know, the metaverse. So, all right. So the spheres here, you have the Earth in the middle. You got the geosphere. I know it might trigger some flat earthers, but there you go. You got the core of the Earth, and you got the Earth there. That's the geosphere, along with the oceans around it. And then you have the biosphere, which is the plants, the animals, you know, humans, fungus, even. And as part of that, we have our civilization is part of the biosphere, but we're sort of the intermediary middle ground between the biosphere and the noosphere, which is a ring around that, which is the realm of the mind, the realm of consciousness, you know, the realm, if some can argue, the realm of spirit. So you can see how tapping into that realm, the internet is kind of that. You know, it's kind of just out there. Yes, there's a hardware element to it, but it's almost like, you know, you can take this visualization of the noosphere and this sort of the pinkish outer layer that I use for the, or you know, made in this little thing, and you can draw little connections to the physical world, or like big server farms or computers, and we're creating this network. It's truly fascinating when you think about what is happening in our world today in 2021, 2022, the internet, what it's actually building, the net, literally a net cast on us. So anyway, that's the noosphere, and it's kind of the theme of the show today, and that's why I kind of ranted about that. But before we get into the story about the brain-computer interface tweet, we're going to do... Oh, well, first off, it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Yeah. There you go. Clear your sinus. I almost didn't do a Flippy update, but it wouldn't be a News Talk episode without a Flippy update. So in honor of Basil, we will do a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
If you're new to the show, Flippy is the Flippy update is when we talk about robots. Flippy is a colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We talk about Flippy to keep track of all the developments in the realm of robotics, specifically robot arms, but even beyond that. Today, the story comes from Euronews.next, and the headline here is high-tech AI-powered robots are replacing recycling center workers in Finland. And, you know, I was kind of texting with Basil, but I don't think he was able to really let me know on all of the details. Maybe you guys listening out there might remember. There was a story recently, I think it was in the U.S., where somebody had died at one of these, I think it was a recycling center, from one of these robots or something like that. So interesting that this story would be in the news a few weeks later as kind of a separate thing. So I'm going to play a clip here. It's about 1:40 of the story, and it interviews the people working at this factory. Before I do, let me just read a little bit, and then we'll play the clip. On the outskirts of Finnish capital Helsinki, new technology is making recycling easier. A recently opened 35 million euro plant owned by Finnish firm Remeo can process up to 120,000 tons of construction waste, including wood, plastic, and metals. It is said to be the most advanced recycling plant in Europe. So there you go. And let me play the clip here.
These arms, they never get tired.
These arms never get tired.
And also they never get bored. And
also they never get bored.
That makes them quite superior for a job like this. And frankly, given the amount of hazardous objects on the belt, it's really not a good place for people to put their hands on these kind of sharp edges and other dangerous materials.
The robot scans the waste with cameras, a 3D sensor, and a metal detector, and it's able to sort through stuff.
Robots is that they actually identify the waste objects on the belt. So they look at each and every object that comes in the belt, and then figure out whether it's wood that has some nails in it, tiles or concrete, and then they put it in the correct chute for later processing.
The whole industry basically has had the challenge that a lot of the waste goes for incineration. So it's burnt up, and that's not good for the nature and for the whole planet. So basically what we now do is we try to raise the level of recycling.
And then it ends here. The average European generates roughly 5 tons of waste per year. Only 38% of this is recycled. Euronews, there it is, just to, throw on the guilt trip at the end there. Okay, so there's not much to say about it other than, you have these 12 robot arms that sort things and capture valuable pure materials to boost recycling rates. Again, the sort of cleanup job that robot arms will be involved with as part of the Great Reset and the new world that we are moving into. This is just another example, and I think this becomes the standard here as we move into the 2020s. AI-powered robots, sorting goods, and more efficiency with this type of mundane work. That'll become standard, and anything less will be considered, not keeping up with the times. So there you go. That's your Flippy update. An army of robot arms sorting through garbage. I apologize for the little daughter here stepping in. You want to say hi? She gets camera shy, mic shy. All right, we're going to get into the big story that came out. Was it yesterday? Maybe today? It's a transhuman story here. And also a mind control one.
Mind control weapons.
This is from the DailyMail.com. The headline: I created this just by thinking it. Paralyzed man, 62, is first person to tweet a message using his mind thanks to tiny brain implant. It's actually happened, folks. The first tweet straight from the brain. And I have a clip as well, but I'm going to read the article too because there's the clip just kind of supplements it. A paralyzed man in Australia has become the first person to tweet a message via direct thought thanks to a tiny brain implant the size of a paperclip. Project Paperclip, anyone? Philip O'Keefe, 62, who suffers from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, which has left him unable to move his upper limbs, tweeted, "No need for keystrokes or voices. I created this tweet just by thinking it. #HelloWorldBCI." He was diagnosed with ALS, a form of motor neuron disease, in 2015 and successfully turned his direct thought to text using the Stentrode Brain-Computer Interface, BCI, on December 23rd. The interface, created by California-based Synchron, a neurovascular bioelectronics medicine company, allows patients to carry out tasks on a computer just by using their mind. Okay, there's a little video here. I'm going to play the video real quick.
I was diagnosed with MMD in May of 2015. And from day one, I was very keen to get involved in any sort of trial to prolong my life or find a cure. In April 22nd of this year, I had the procedure to implant the Stentrode into my brain, my motor cortex, and the device into my chest.
So we can get below green.
Those movements are all mine. The stentrode sits in the major vein between my motor cortex, and your motor cortex is the planning part of your brain. So the first set of trials that we did was, tap your left ankle 10 times, tap your right ankle 10 times, your right wrist, your left wrist. And they took the readings from those commands to write an algorithm. I think about tapping my left ankle, but not actually tapping my left ankle. And the algorithm then identifies that brain pattern and creates a command on the screen, which would be a left mouse click, for argument's sake. If I can get to the spot I need to go to and hold that command, that thought of tapping my left ankle, I can actually zoom into the screen. I've always been conscious that this probably won't be a great help for me as an individual in the short term, because I won't get enough control to do what I could do with my hands. But those who come behind me will get that benefit. So I'm excited that we can help others.
There you go. Back to the article. There's a picture of a tweet here, or the tweet he sent. And Mr. O'Keefe said, quote, "When I first heard about this technology, I knew how much independence it could give back to me. The system is astonishing. It's like learning to ride a bike. It takes practice, but once you're rolling, it becomes natural. Now I just think about where on the computer I want to click, and I can email, bank, shop, and now message the world via Twitter." So there you go, folks. This is no longer crazy science fiction. A man who has a brain implant has sent out a tweet directly from his brain computer interface. So this is what I'm talking about, the noosphere, the realm of the mind. Literally, brains just connected to the internet. We don't need the body. Who needs a body? It slows us down. Just goes straight from the brain right into the internet. And this is the noosphere being a sort of global brain that Tal Desjardins was talking about. It says here, he has since been using the technology to reconnect with his family and business colleagues, continuing email exchanges and staying actively involved in his consultancy and other business projects. Is this a different guy? Mr. Oxley? I think it's the same guy. Mr. Oxley said, quote, "These fun holiday tweets are actually an important moment for the field of implantable brain-computer interfaces. They highlight the connection, hope, and freedom that BCIs give to people like Phil, who have had so much of their functional independence taken away due to debilitating paralysis. We look forward to advancing our brain-computer interface stentrode in the first U.S. in-human study next year, 2022. The year of the brain." Here's the thing: if this is becoming normal for the paralyzed and people that suffer certain things, again, you're going to have, this is part of my prediction. Boomers in the metaverse, homeless in the metaverse, and paralyzed in the metaverse. Did I say that right? Oh, I get distracted. Just the influx of people that will be living and working in the digital realm is going to grow a lot more. And the devices, if this is the barrier now, the barrier is now some guy that can connect his brain straight to a computer so he can tweet. So, no more excuses for not having a device to connect or whatever, right? It always pushes everything forward as new developments occur. The successful human trials come at a time that many companies are working tirelessly to develop the first brain chip, specifically Elon Musk's Neuralink, which has only demonstrated its device in a pig. I thought it did it in a monkey, too. Am I missing something? Didn't they do the monkey Pong thing? The 40-millimeter long stentrode device is small and flexible, allowing it to safely pass through curving blood vessels in the brain. The team noted the procedure is similar to that of a pacemaker and does not require open brain surgery. Once the chip is implanted, sensors are laid through the vessels and inserted into an internal telemetry unit that connects to a wireless transmitter taped to the patient's chest. Brain activity is collected by the sensors, which are sent to the transmitter that interprets them into computer tasks. The system also includes an eye tracker to navigate the cursor on the computer screen. Yeah, so just more surveillance too. How is this bringing more freedom? As the guy was saying earlier, it brings more freedom. Kind of. You're just handing data over to the AI here that'll know exactly how you think. The thinking patterns and stuff will all be recorded. So there you go. This is kind of one of those. I don't know if it's a called it. I think people that are paying attention knew this kind of thing was going to come, but interesting that it comes right before 2022. It could be setting up the kind of temperament or climate, spiritual climate, perhaps, but certainly in terms of the news, we will see more of this, more and more of it, and it'll just become a thing. It'll be normalized. And I was talking to a friend about that. Actually, I think I was gonna share a couple things from that, but maybe I won't. Basically, this idea that we've been so desensitized over the last couple generations, and he's actually, well, maybe I will share it. He sent a couple screenshots of memes that were out there, and the first one was Dumb and Dumber, and it says, "On my way to get tested for the same illness I'm vaccinated against, thumbs up." And then the second one was the two guys from Dumb and Dumber, and one of them says, "But I don't have any symptoms," and then the other one says, "That's one of the symptoms." And it got me thinking, I grew up, I was a kid when Dumb and Dumber became really popular, and, everybody was talking about it, everyone saw it. And I recall my friends at the time, and just, my class of students and people are my peers, they all started acting extra goofy as sort of a way to be funny and relevant. And I remember feeling how forced it was and how abrupt everyone's behavior changed after the movie came out. Similar to, there's a movie called Jackass that, not great for anybody to watch. But I remember just thinking, oh man, the way my friends and my peers were acting and thought was funny, like their humor, everything was shaped like it just changed with movies that came out. And so, I don't know. I think back, and obviously, hindsight 2020, but movies like that, I feel like it really did, as any generation, but just, more and more so, condition us to accept more and more extreme ideas or extreme things or whatever it is, and as part of the conditioning process. So anyway, just thought I'd go off on a little tangent there with that. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So here's the other thing. This clip is from last episode, the Fox News story about the brain control weapons from China. So this is 2 episodes in a row where we have brain control, literally brain control, brain computer interface type of stories. One blaming China about, they're militarizing brain machine stuff. And then another one here from DailyMail with a guy paralyzed or suffering from a disease, able to tweet out. Much less violent, I guess. But this is that clip from the last show, which I just clipped it as an ISO video here.
It would be literally like putting a device into your brain that can launch a missile.
Yeah. You can tweet or launch missiles. That's where we're at. Piggybacking on that story there, Bloomberg Opinion here. Beware that Nocebo strapped to your wrist. Beware that Nocebo strapped to your wrist. Fitness gadgets are supposed to improve your health, but often end up making you feel worse. Most people are familiar with the concept of a placebo, where merely providing positive information can improve perception of well-being, yet the opposite also occurs. With negative data making people feel worse about their own health. That's the nocebo, Latin for I shall harm, as opposed to I shall please for placebo. And there's a good chance you have a nocebo strapped to your wrist. I don't have an Apple Watch, or I don't wear a Fitbit, so I don't, but I know a lot of people do. Maybe people reading this do. A wave of health tech gadgets, from fitness trackers to Apple Inc.'s watch, means hundreds of millions of people are hooked up to real-time feedback devices. Yeah, just one step towards connecting the brain. They're designed to measure your steps, encourage you to exercise more, and give daily updates on your mental and physical health. Apple wants you to close your rings, the 3 colorful circles the watch uses to monitor your progress, and Garmin Ltd helpfully tells you when your health is quote-unquote excellent. They make for popular gifts and are bound to be stocking stuffers this year. Various models. Okay, so is this the native ad for Apple Watch? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. But there's also good reason to think twice about whether you or a loved one will truly benefit from 24/7 monitoring, arbitrary goals served up by an algorithm, and regular notifications telling you that you're stressed, tired, fit, or simply unproductive. In fact, research on the nocebo effect, first conceptualized in 1961, has shown that perceptions of pain can increase with shifts in information and detail. Patients with suspected concussions have shown poorer neurocognitive performance when their history of traumatic injury is called to attention. Concentration falters when unpleasant data is provided. Sometimes even the change in the color of a specific signal associated with health can trigger discomfort. Yeah, so mind control. Straight up mind control. There's a feedback loop. You're giving these devices data. It's like, okay, I can assess, I can analyze my situation, and then I can make changes to improve it. But also, those improvements are being measured by the same data capturing. And so if you try something, and even if let's say you're trying something to feel a certain way, to make you feel happy, and you do that thing, you feel happy, but then you look at the metrics, and the metrics say you're sad. Well, an objective person would just say, oh, the metrics are wrong. Something's wrong with the data collection. But more and more, there's a generation of people here going, I feel okay, I feel good, but the data says that I'm sad. Oh, that makes me sad. Oh, now I'm sad. So now you put way too much weight into the algorithm, and it shapes your behavior and your emotions. I mean, this is not good. So anyway, while a constant flow of data can help people optimize their health, she says, oh, did I skip something? Here we go. With more devices strapped to people's bodies, nocebos are now creeping into everyday life as people put more faith in data to guide their habits. That's what I'm talking about. Quote, it's about sleep for me because I will wake up and feel pretty darn good, and then I'll look at my score, and sometimes it's not pretty darn good. Fitness podcaster and YouTuber Ali Spagnola says, quote, and I can tell that I will actually feel worse after that. Bingo! There it is. While a constant flow of data can help people optimize their health, she says she's starting to understand that the opposite can also be true. Spagnola, who produces video on music, comedy, and fitness for more than 2 million social media followers, says sometimes all we really need is positive reinforcement. Yes, okay, yeah, all right, so yes, positive reinforcement. We are turning into just animals, just triggering different feelings. So, and it goes into a little bit more here. Basically, warning about some of this, but also saying like, yeah, but it's good. Last paragraph. It's a world where we've been blindsided by the unexpected, and so we want to believe that technology can forewarn us of dangers and risks. We've come to depend on the devices on our wrists to constantly flag us about our physical and mental health. This is more than a little naive. Sometimes all we really need is to be told we're awesome. So, okay, all this is going to do is help the algorithms improve their communication to people, and all that can be built on lies, so it doesn't really matter. But wearable devices just kind of crept in. I was watching a lecture by someone the other day, and they were talking about how, we live in such a different world today where for so many of us, I'm in my late 30s, people in your 40s, I've always said we're the last generation that remembers the time before the internet, but it's not just the internet. It's what's happened within the internet. It's hard for younger people, I think, to conceptualize today that there was a world before Twitter, there was a world before YouTube, there was a world before Netflix, and all these things are just so everyday. Just of course we use this stuff. Uber, or what are the food delivery stuff? I can't think of the Uber Foods or whatever. All these different things did not exist 10, 15 years ago. Well, it existed 10 years ago. Well, not all of it, but some of it. 15 years ago, certainly 20 years ago, not in this world at all. And so human connection was different. Human social interaction was different. And culturally, it's always been different. But technology has sort of leveled everything. And it has almost, not exposed per se, but it sort of brings everything to view. And so people that had no idea about different cultures can suddenly learn about it, see it, and you know, they talk about how the internet has shrank the world. But in terms of the devices that we attach ourselves to, and specifically biometric reading type of stuff, you know, this is going to be part of the appeal for people to step into the metaverse, because not only are they going to be promised that their physical world will be better, but they're also going to get all of the same kind of dopamine the type of reaction that you get in social media. And now that it's specifically merging, social media is merging with gaming, it's merging, the virtual realm kind of merges all these different topics and just realms of influence and development, and it sort of brings it all together. So now you have social media, which is kind of like a game, which is kind of like an app, but it's also you in the VR. It's all like one big thing. And it brings me to note that patent that Microsoft had that everybody was talking about last year, the 060606, where basically they said, hey, we're going to use biometrics from people exercising to mine cryptocurrencies. And again, I pointed out in my breakdown, I read through the whole document of the patent, and they were very specific that they don't necessarily need to capture that data for mining decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. More so, it's meant for some kind of centralized coin, perhaps a government-issued coin, which would be worse. What's more likely, you know, the dystopian world where Microsoft captures all your data and then uses that data to mine a currency for the Microsoft metaverse world, you know, so you can spend your money, so you can buy and sell. You can't buy and sell without it, you know. So anyway, it's troubling for me because it's both. There's a positive aspect to this, a positive side of people stepping away from the old system, and we're making all these old systems transparent. We're exposing the problems with this old system that people have been complaining about for decades. Truthers from 20, 30 years ago calling out the New World Order and central banks and all that kind of stuff. And now there's something where people can migrate to and build their own thing within this larger infrastructure of the internet. Okay, so that's positive. But then on the negative side is those legacy systems saying, oh, we can build this too. And we have the resources to do our own thing with it. Kind of like how China's done. But we're going to see it in corporations in the West. So, yeah, it's kind of just crazy that we're at a time when these stories are just, normal headlines, and not many people freaking out about it too much. Not too many people paying attention to these stories, but this is coming to a living room near you. Friends, family, especially the elderly. What are you going to do? You know, I've been thinking about this. If this paralyzed individual, Philip O'Keefe here, was a relative of mine, and they're like, hey, I really want to be part of solving this problem with people who have disabilities, and for them to be able to, for people to be able to tap into the internet and participate in civilizations and society through this method, you know, there's, at a secular level, you can't really deny that. It's like, well, yeah, you're trying to help people restore some kind of normalcy, bring social interaction to them where otherwise it would be very difficult if they're immobile, if they're having physical problems. So certainly, yes, this sounds like a good idea. It sounds like a good idea to help with the mental health of the patients, but also perhaps to help develop the technology. But so it's good. But that's that discussion of restoration versus enhancement. Right now, this is restoration. Somebody who has ALS being restored to the point where using this technology, they're able to communicate on the internet, and type and send texts and tweet and do generally what normal folks who have access to the internet can do. But what if that changes, or what if something goes beyond that? Like controlling a missile plant or something like that, as the extreme other end from that Fox clip. So it just changes everything. It changes how politics work and how social weight, how meaning is produced and experienced. And, it's just going to be important for us to stay true to the word. The whole biblical concept of, building the church on rock, something solid, something that's not going to move. Man, that's like way more true as we go into the metaverse. It's like we're going into the realm of the noosphere, this ethereal realm where we can be anything and do anything we want. And human imagination is corrupt, folks. So while it is good in the pursuit, it may not end well, as prophecy seems to reveal. Biblical prophecy seems to reveal. Okay, a couple COVID-19 stories here.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 yes. COVID-19, COVID-19, coronavirus. Vaccine, number one way.
This is NPR.org. And the headline here, CDC cuts the recommended isolation and quarantine periods for coronavirus infection. Okay. So, story says people who test positive for the coronavirus need to isolate themselves for only 5 days if they don't show symptoms, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Monday. This cuts in half the earlier recommendation of 10 days of isolation. I think we did a short breakdown of these isolation periods, but they're completely arbitrary. This is not scientific whatsoever. But, hey, science.
Science is truth.
Just look at the data, right, Fauci? Data shows that the majority of coronavirus transmissions, quote, occurs early in the course of illness, the CDC explained. Generally in 1 or 2 days before symptoms begin and 2 or 3 days after. Therefore, people who test positive should isolate for 5 days. Oh, that's very, very scientific. Wait a minute. If you are most susceptible to spreading this thing 1 or 2 days before symptoms begin, then how are you supposed to? Okay, whatever. It just doesn't make any sense that it's like, oh, now that you test positive, you got to go quarantine for 5 days, when it says, you're not going to even know if you have anything unless you have symptoms. You got to get tested. I guess you get tested to, get into a building or something like that. But I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, therefore, people who test positive should isolate for 5 days. And if asymptomatic at that time, they may leave isolation if they can continue to mask for 5 days. 5 extra days? To mask for 5 days to minimize the risk of infecting others, the CDC said in a statement. What in the world are you talking about, CDC? I shouldn't say that. Yes, CDC. You are correct in all of your scientific understandings. The CDC has also updated its recommended quarantine period for people exposed to the virus. It says unvaccinated people should quarantine for 5 days, followed by 5 days of strict mask use. Okay, again, I don't see the science there, but whatever. Exposed people who are more than 6 months past their second dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech or Moderna vaccines, or 2 months out from a Johnson & Johnson vaccine, should also quarantine for 5 days. People who have gotten their booster shots don't need to quarantine after exposure, but should wear masks for the next 10 days. Who's keeping up with all these rules? Is there, at a certain point, I feel like the companies, at least where I'm at in Orange County, which admittedly is a little bit more conservative than LA, down the street or down the highway. But it seems like a lot of places have the signs up, like, oh, we're compliant with the CDC recommended, wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. But you get inside and nobody's really enforcing it, at least where I am. So, I don't know, they say stuff, but maybe that's why they're being more bold. They're like, hey, yeah, just, really lock in the mask wearing and, just any positive, even before a positive test, you can get locked down. Dr. Megan Ranney, the Associate Dean at Brown University School of Public Health, tweeted Monday, using her fingers, not a brain-computer interface, that a major reason the federal government altered isolation requirements is due to the economic strain of a full quarantine. Quote, our economy is going to shut down if everybody has to isolate for 10 days. Luckily, the science backs up the move, at least partially, she tweeted. Okay. On the other hand, I'm all for following the science for the vaccinated and asymptomatic. No reason to keep people home unnecessarily. There you go. Kudos, she says to the CDC, for recognizing that our knowledge has changed. And the virus has changed, especially for the vaccinated. Rainey said what would make this decision even safer would be to require a rapid test before ending isolation. The CDC doesn't currently require this step, and rapid at-home COVID tests have been hard to come by during the Omicron surge. The Biden administration, which has come under pressure for not increasing widespread availability of at-home tests last week, rolled out a plan, blah, blah, blah. We know about that. In the U.S., as of Monday, 242 million people have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. 205 million are fully vaccinated, and 66 million have received a booster, according to the CDC. So there you go. They got the majority of people. I feel like a lot of these articles nowadays, it's to just make the vaccinated people feel at ease for their decision. And it doesn't truly seem to be following any kind of science, or at least if it does, it's like, they just say it. They don't really show it. They say, oh, it's partially on the science. All right. Well, in the meantime, all these mainstream outlets can do is just waste people's time. And so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but this is what they're up to. APnews.com posts mislead on Anderson Cooper interview. Gotta defend Anderson Cooper. Claim CNN journalist. Wow. CNN journalist Anderson Cooper wants Social Security payments to be withheld from those who are unvaccinated. That's the claim. AP's assessment, false. In an August 4th interview, Cooper asked Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates his position on whether the federal government should enforce COVID-19 vaccine mandates by withholding Social Security or other federal benefits from people who don't comply. Cooper did not say he personally supports such mandates. Oh. Okay. Who cares? This is such a non-debunk. It's gotten so bad that AP is literally debunking comments on social media posts. That's pretty low. That's very low. It used to be back in the old days, like on YouTube, you got a problem with someone, you make a hit video, like calling out such and such for whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you either have a debate or something like that, but not anymore. Now you just debunk people in the comment section. Okay, while many sharing the clip were commenting, hold on. The facts. Social media users in recent days shared a months-old clip of Cooper interviewing Gates on the show Anderson Cooper 360. While many sharing the clip were commenting on the fact that Gates was smiling while Cooper asked the question about mandates, other users shared posts that misrepresented the anchor's question. Okay, hold up. AP not denying that Bill Gates was smiling while being asked about mandates. AP's words, the fact that Gates was smiling while Cooper asked the question about mandates. We're not going to address that, though. We're going to talk about how others shared posts that misrepresented the anchor's question. Quote, Anderson Cooper wants Social Security to be withheld from the unvaxxed. What a miserable monster, read one widely shared tweet that did not include the original clip for context. But the full video and a transcript of the episode show Cooper was merely asking an interview question. During the interview, Cooper asks Gates, quote, obviously, corporations increasingly are saying you have to be vaccinated in order to work at our corporation. Is that something you support? And do you think the federal government or state governments, or the very least federal government, should mandate if you want to get on an airplane, you have to be vaccinated? If you want to get Social Security, you have to be vaccinated. If you want to get whatever benefits they give, you need to be vaccinated for. Is that something that the U.S. can and should do? That's the question that Anderson Cooper asked. Gates, and then back to the AP article, Gates did not directly respond to the issue of Social Security, but told Cooper, quote, well, certainly, if you take a case like nursing homes, okay, he didn't ask about nursing homes, but okay, nursing homes where, we are seeing transmission primarily through unvaccinated people, there you can make a very compelling case. If once you get far beyond that, the question is, will it work to get people to seek out the vaccine? I don't understand that quote, but it doesn't answer. It's funny because AP writing this fact check is still exposing how ridiculous Bill Gates' responses to these questions are. Because if Anderson Cooper is laying out the theory, not necessarily that Anderson Cooper wants this or is in support of this, which is what the AP article is trying to debunk, which is ridiculous because no one even said that other than people on social media. So you're debunking random trolls on social media. But the bigger point here, I think, when you get into this, is Bill Gates' answer is just ridiculous. It doesn't make he doesn't answer it whatsoever. And AP doesn't really explain that. They just sort of inadvertently expose the situation here with Bill Gates. Then it goes on. He also referenced Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson push to lift his state's ban on mask mandates, adding that people, quote, ought to be open-minded to what tactics can help get people protected, end quote. At no point during the interview did Cooper say he supports taking away Social Security benefits from the unvaccinated. Again, it's like this sleight of hand that AP does. This is just content mining, not even mining, farming. It's like this is not real content. This is nonsense published by AP here. Nobody cares. But I saw this like trending on Twitter and people talking about it. It's like, all right, this is all you got now? Mainstream media, this is all you can do with your time and millions or billions of dollars of funding from big pharma and big tech and all that? I don't know. Yeah. Meanwhile, we got people tweeting out from their brain. So there you go. Mainstream versus real stream. Something like that. One last thing real quickly, because we did get a note from Enumati, who's our resident microbiologist. He sent a longer note here. I won't read the note, but he did mention that he was seeing this story out there. This is from ArmstrongEconomics.com. Enumati, I don't think, left a link of the article he was talking about in the email, but I went and looked for it. This is the one I can find. Posted December 27th. The headline is CDC admits COVID tests are invalid. And, this is kind of a truther narrative that they're picking up on here. And the blog here, and this is a blog, by the way, so it says the Centers for Disease Control is finally withdrawing the PCR test for COVID, for it is seriously flawed and is incapable of distinguishing between COVID and influenza viruses. Okay, so that's sort of the claim that the CDC is taking down they're ending PCR tests because they can't distinguish between COVID and the regular flu. And then the blogger here goes on, Martin Armstrong. The CDC is withdrawing the COVID PCR test, and the media is not making this front page. And so, the narrative of the truther side saying, hey, this is they're wrapping up on the certain PCR test here, and this is the link to it. And I remember this from back in July. I was thinking about that. So this actual CDC website, cdc.gov here, says July 21st, 2021, lab alert changes to CDC RT-PCR for SARS-CoV-2 testing, and that they're going to end PCR tests at the end of the year. And I remember we talked about it even, that like, hey, I don't think this is exactly what they're saying or what the truther types would like us to believe. Certainly, if it was true, great. Yeah, they're being exposed. We were right all along that the PCR is not good enough to really determine if somebody has COVID. But the reality of the situation here is that, as far as I understand from Inumati's email, is that these tests were never meant to actually distinguish between SARS-CoV-2 and the influenza virus. So for the truther blogger to say like, oh, they're pulling it off the shelf, they're stopping it because it's incapable of distinguishing between COVID and influenza, is kind of like, well, yeah, because it was never meant to do that. So that's not the reason why they're pulling it off. In fact, this is while the truther community types would like to believe that this is a point or a feather in their cap or whatever, I think this is actually worse, in terms of the kind of government mandated testing standards that will be rolled out, especially with the Biden announcement of the 500 billion tests or whatever, $500 billion. I can't remember what it was, 500 million tests in January rolled out to all over the country. That sort of thing. This is not, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, yeah, fine. They don't do the PCR. Well, now they have these other tests. Bill Gates and wasn't it Bill Gates and Soros? Didn't they invest in some testing company? So, and there was that other company that we tracked in a few episodes ago, doing the same thing, the rapid testing kit. So yeah, this is a financial play. It's a big pharma play, and it's a continued work here. And the truther can maybe they, it's a small, I wouldn't even call it a victory. I guess a point to point out, but it's based on a false premise here to suggest that the reason why the CDC is pulling the PCR test is because it can't distinguish between COVID-19 and influenza. So just a note there. All right. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this show a little bit shorter. We're going to take one big break in the middle today, and then got a couple stories on the other side about, and the other stories we got are very interesting as well. We got the opening of the time capsule, the Robert Lee statue time capsule. We also have the 3,500-year-old Egyptian pharaoh being digitally unwrapped. Very interesting. So we'll cover those two stories after the break. But right before the break here, we are going to have a party. Party time! Go to CanaryCry.Party in your browser, and it will take you to our LINKTREE, where you can do all kinds of things. You can subscribe to our email list. You can explore all the platforms where we currently live stream. You can connect with others on Discord, CanaryCry.Community, and other social media. And you can support the show by clicking on the wiggly button that is at the top. And the wiggly button says, produce the show now. And if you click on that, it'll open up a little menu, some suggestions of amounts. some amounts that have triggered people in the past. But there you go. That's one way to support the show. And we're going to thank the people who do produce the show right now.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
All right. Time for a break. And yes, we have producers of the show. We decided very early on that we will not be doing advertisements or, tapping into the corporate infrastructure of how podcasts usually work. We still get emails based on, I guess, downloads or something, views on YouTube or something like that. We get emails of people saying, hey, we think our product will be perfect with your podcast, which clearly, they don't listen to the show. Although we've had more sophisticated emails from advertising. I don't know if they're firms or sometimes they're firms. Sometimes it's the company themselves, saying, hey, we just want to advertise on your platform. But they do a little bit better job. They have like people listening to the show, and then the email will come in and it'll say, oh, you made a great point about this thing or whatever. And then they'll do their pitch about like, hey, yeah, but it'll be great if we advertise our product on your podcast. But it's funny because, every time they make a comment, it's so shallow. It's not a really in-depth comment. They'll be like, oh, hey, that comment Basil made about robots, really good point. By the way, we have a product. It's just like really generic. But yeah, they're trying. They're trying. But we decided long ago that we don't want to take part in that deceptive behavior, deceptive economics. Part of the problem with the web and everything that exists now is that the people, the consumers of the product, or the consumers of the platform become the product, whereas the controllers, the centralized authorities, maintain power. And the way they maintain power is to get as many people tied in financially. Finances is often used as a way to connect with entities that may be, out of the realm or independent from the establishment. But if they can get a financial connection to these different independent outlets, then you at least have an avenue of influence where if, even if it's an independent fringe podcast that does some advertising, they can pull their advertising if the podcasters say something that is not in line with the values of the product. So we decided, hey, if this show is going to run, we want the people to run it. It's not going to be advertisers. It's not going to be these companies coming in and capitalizing on the attention of our listeners. It's going to be the listeners themselves to support it. And that's what we decided to do. It's something that I am very, me personally, I know Basil is too, but me personally, I feel extremely blessed that this show has grown to the point it has, where people step up, they produce the show, they make it happen. It's a miracle for me in my life and my family. So just wanted to say a thank you to everybody, all the producers who have produced the show in the past, whether financially or not, the time and talent also to keep this thing going, to build the culture. And we're going to continue to do that here. We do have some big plans moving into the future. That's all I'll say. It's going to take a lot to build some of this stuff. But, if the Lord wills, we will definitely be building some interesting and important things moving into the future as part of the Canary Cry world and the Canary Cry News Talk podcast. So, all right. So there's a few ways to produce the show. You can click on that button on the CanaryCry.Party page. You can go to Patreon. We got a couple patrons that came in, so I'll thank them now. And actually, I'm testing something out here. Basil's not here. I'm going to test something. You guys let me know in the chat or later on if you're listening after the live show. I'm changing the gong. I noticed there was a few people. Somebody said they were getting a headache from the gong on the last episode, and that's not the first time I've seen someone complain about it. I know it could be loud and everything else. The volumes sometimes aren't right, but I'm going to try a different bell. This is a ship bell. It's a little bit more subtle. It's not so in your face. Can you hear that? Hopefully it. Yeah, it's a little quiet. But that's going to be, I'm going to test that out for a little bit for our producers, just so, because the gong was getting a little, it's just a little out of control. So, all right. So, on Patreon for Canary Cry News Talk, that's patreon.com/CanaryCry News Talk. Or no, I'm sorry, patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. We have a couple new patrons, producers. And the first one is Nightmare King. Nightmare King gets the first ship bell. Interesting name there, Nightmare King. And we also have another person on Patreon, Rooster. Thank you, Rooster. Thank you, Nightmare King, for jumping on Patreon. The other way you can support the show is by going to CanaryCryRadio.com/support. CanaryCryRadio.com/support. And if you go to CanaryCryRadio.com/support, you'll see all kinds of different ways to support the show. And we are going to start off by thanking the executive producer of episode 428. And yes, it is a little bit of a shorter show, but still equally important in terms of getting an episode out there before the new year. And we wanted to thank Shoefly for coming in $515.58. It's incredible. And yeah, Shoefly is our executive producer for episode 428.
Where'd you find this?
And they send a note here. This is a $500.33 donation plus fees. Illuminatus! Hopefully this can offset some of your family holiday costs. Absolutely does, Shoefly. Help keep the lights on after buying gifts. Blessed by your ministry from our family to yours, Shoefly. Thank you very much, Shoefly. Appreciate it. And yeah, this is huge. Incredible. Very generous. Thank you so much for being our executive producer for episode 428. Over halfway to knighthood or damehood. So keep that in mind there, Shoefly. We don't have an associate executive producer today, but I do want to thank some calendar producers. And I realized last episode, I think I thanked some producers that came in or became calendar producers last month, and then so the thing hit this month or something, and so I thanked them again. We'll double check all that again. I didn't have my hands on the administrative side of this project, so I'm a little out of the loop on just all the details and all the things you have to do to make it all happen with addresses and different ways people are coming in. Nevertheless, I'm just going to thank people here who came in with the calendar that's on the list that I found. And if I'm repeating, I apologize. Let me know. But here we go. First one. I think this is a calendar producership. Again, doing accounting on my own is trouble. Soha S. Came in at $33.33. Illuminatus! With a monthly support, and they came in with an address, which is why I assumed that this was a calendar producership. If it's not, I apologize. But Soha S coming in, thank you very much, $33.33 a month. Thank you. Next up, we have Lewis S. Came in with the calendar. Next up, Spiritually Minded. That's one of those where I think maybe they already came in once, and this is the next month here. Either way, Spiritually Minded on the list. Next up, Rochelle S. Thank you, Rochelle S. And another one here, Jonathan W. I have a question mark there because it was noted as a one-time gift. but it was the amount for the calendar. So I don't know what's going on with the administrative side, but I'm just reading off the list here. And lastly, Chad C. Thank you very much, all the producers who came in to become monthly producers to grab a calendar for 2022. That's the Canary Cry 2022 calendar for producers. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. Perfect culture piece here for the Canarium. And yeah, it's just cool to see all the artists and all the design and the work that went into producing this calendar. And we really appreciate all the producers who did that. Producer Isaac, Ebony Blaze, and all the artists that contributed to that. So be a part of it. Own one. I know there's people ordering it for other people. That's I think I read some notes about that. So there's that to consider as well. So I think this might be, and again, this is something that I'm not in the communication stream here with Isaac, producer Isaac. So I think there is one more batch going out, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, I'll if Basil can't get to it, I'll have to do some admin work here and communicate with Isaac about the calendars. But moving on here, thanking the rest of the producers. So thank you all the calendar producers who came in. We're going to move on to the other producers here. Little Winged One coming in. Has a note here. Blessings, Canary fam. Thank you, Basil and Gonz, for an entire clown car year of value. Much love, Little Winged One. Appreciate it, Little Winged One. And yeah, we thank you for this year. I think the highlight of Little Winged One might have been the hat this year for Basil, I would say. So thank you very much, Little Winged One. Next up, we have Spears Desert coming in $33.33. Illuminatus! And a note, thank you guys for another year of a well-rounded take on world events, looked at through the lens of biblical prophecy and cut live to tape. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. May God bless you and keep you. Thank you very much, Spears Desert. And sorry, moving around here, changing some things. Next up, we have Julie S. Thank you, Julie S. I didn't see a note, but appreciate the producership. Next up, we have producer Morv. Morv is on a streak. 37 episodes in a row, and he comes in with 1111. Thank you very much, Morv. Next up, oh, this is a big one. Sir Casey the Shield Knight. And Sir Casey is on a streak.
Yeah!
Tweaker.
Oh, yeah!
Man, thank you so much.
Sir Casey is on a 100 episode streak.
100 times. Wow!
Bruh. That's 100 episodes in a row, a streak.
1, 0, 0. 1, 0.
Congratulations, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, for being the first to break the century mark of streaks by hitting 100 episodes in a row. Wow. That's incredible. And, you know, again, I was doing the math. I think this is the 47th episode of the year. So literally 2/3 of the year, you have consistently supported the show. 146th episode of the year. So yeah, 46 episodes into the year, you hopped on, we started the streak thing, and you've been on it. 100. What a momentous time. And Basil is, I don't know, does Basil have something to say? You got something to say, Basil?
Yeah.
That's it?
Gotta get that hype, bro.
There you go. Got that hype from Basil. Thank you very much to Sir Casey the Shield Knight for hitting 100 episodes in a row. Still blows my mind. I can't believe Sir Casey, that you've been supporting the show consistently for that long. We can barely keep this podcast going, if it wasn't for you guys. But it makes me confident that we will continue going when we have producers coming in for 100 episodes in a row. But Sir Casey has someone following very close behind. He's not out, because sometimes people in the lead, people that break records and, are ahead of the curve, they're out there way ahead of everybody. Like if you look at a chart or something. Not the case with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, because right behind Sir Casey the Shield Knight is Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. And Sir Scott is on a streak.
Yeah!
Quicker!
Oh, yeah!
Man, thank you so much.
90 episodes in a row. Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. Just 10 behind Sir Casey the Shield Knight. So there you go. That is, man, that's amazing. Comes in with a pocket full of sevens. Appreciate that. Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. And, 90 episodes in a row. Next up, we have Palmer B. Coming in with a pocket full of sevens, and he's on a streak. It's actually a pocket full of sevens plus fees. And a note, oh, my dear Basil, please come back so Gonz won't misgender me again. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I misgender. That's right. Can I get a Greta, how dare you from Gonz Suspense? And here's the thing. We don't actually have the how dare you ISO, because we had the blah blah blah, but because I felt so ashamed that I forgot Palmer B is a lady, so I just did it now, I think, too. So hold on.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Yes. So I went out of the way to put together the how dare you. I hang my head in shame. You can shame me, Palmer B.
How dare you?
And also it says here, happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Thank you, Palmer B. I will never make that mistake ever again. All right, so a few more producers coming in after the cutoff of $7.77, which entitles you to having a note read. So coming in below 777 is Josiah S. Thank you very much, Josiah S. Next up, we have Veronica D. Veronica D is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
66 episodes in a row. And right alongside of you is Gail M., who's also on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
And is also on a 66 episode in a row streak. Next up, we have Doctor Who Done Dat. Pocket full of threes plus fees. He's on a streak. 37 episodes in a row. And lastly, we have Runk Smash coming in. And he came in with 11.966 Dogecoin.
Is this a crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
I'm getting a note from First Kane about support or producership that came in. Doing a quick refresh here. Want to make sure I include you. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got a couple more coming in here. Oh my gosh. There was a big group of people who came in. All right, hold on. I have to, all right, I'm going to do this manually here. So, Sir Salmon's Knight of the Fishes. Thank you very much, Sir Salmon's. And I'll get to your streak in a second. He's got a note here. It's the final Wednesday of 2021, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Let's make it one to remember. I can't wait to see what the new year brings and how we will all collectively analyze the news together. Many blessings from the fishes. Thank you very much. Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes came in with 1111. Again, I'm doing this manually here. Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes and your streak, Sir Salmons. Let me get that real quick for you. Oh gosh, I gotta do it all manually. I apologize. This is the kind of thing where having the co-host or some kind of admin would help. Not always available though. 9 episodes in a row, which means Sir Salmons is lit now.
Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Thank you very much, Sir Salmons. Next up here in the mist producers adding to the list last minute, I should have done a refresh before here, is JC. Thank you, JC. JC comes in with 1001.
1001. Amen.
And a note. Wait. I think I read JC's note as Sir Salmon's. Hold on. Did I mess that up? Or are they playing a trick on me? Wait a minute. Hold on. What's happening? What is going on? I'm so confused. Why is the note from JC? Oh, okay. It's not the same. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I apologize. I am completely tripping out. Sir Salmon's note begins with, "It's the final Wednesday of 2021, my dudes." And then JC's note begins, "It's the final 2021 Wednesday, my dudes." My gosh, it just made me, my brain just had this, it just blew up. So yes, JC, it's the final Wednesday. You guys know the jingle. I'm not going to play it again. We've made it yet another year without the son of perdition being revealed, praying for heightened discernment in 2022 as we ever approach the return of Christ. Amen to that. Thank you, JC. Let me add you to the list here. JC's coming in 1001, and you are on a streak that is the number... Oh my gosh, 53 episodes in a row? I believe that is correct. Yeah, I think so. Okay, sorry about this, folks. All right, thank you, JC. Yes, thank you, JC. All right, next up here in the list of here, I think this is Heather Sir Russ, who is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule.
And they came in with 1001.
1001. Amen.
And a note. I'm having a trip here. Happy Wednesday, my dudes. Oh my gosh. Can we get a Nobody Likes You booster and a Howard Dean? Much love, Heather Sir Russ. So you want a Nobody Likes You booster and Howard Dean. Okay, give me one moment here as I piece that together. What happened to my booster jingle? I thought I had that much more handy. Oh, here we go.
You know what? Nobody likes you, booster.
Hold on, I'm going to try that one more time. Hold on, one more time.
You know what? Nobody likes you, booster.
There we go. There you go. Heather Sir Russ, thank you very much. What streak are you on here? Wow, this takes a lot longer when you have to do it manually. And let me try to find Heather Sir Russ's streak here. I believe it is 42. Oh, it's a big day here. 42 episodes in a row, which means you are the answer.
Carry this message to Hiram a bit.
I hope I got that right. I'm doing this all flying by the seat of my pants here. All right. Next up, Amanda P. Thank you. Amanda P coming in below the threshold of pocket full of sevens. I think Amanda P's on a streak as well.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Just I gotta find out how many though. Amanda P coming in 20. No. Oh, maybe she's not on a streak. Oh no. Did I give you a streak when you were not on a streak? Oh, you know what? Maybe Amanda P is not on a streak. According to my list, which I could be wrong. Amanda P, if you are on a streak, let me know. I apologize. I'm going to put Amanda P on the list here just to make sure. Next up here, we have... oh, my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna do this a little out of order because of its scattered nature on the list here. I believe this is Son of God. If I'm not mistaken. Hold on. I apologize. Or Child of God. I'm sorry, not Son of God. Child of God. Double checking things. Come on, internet. I apologize. This is definitely not what I wanted to do here. Yes, this is Child of God. Coming in, pocket full of threes plus fees. Thank you very much. I think he's on a streak as well. What was the streak you were on here? Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh. This is horrible. This is horrible live footage. Oh, okay, I can't find it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Child of God, I apologize. Let us know what number streak you were on, if you were on a streak. I just can't pull it up here in the short notice that we have here. Next up, we have William F. Thank you, William F. Coming in with a pocket full of sevens and a note. Hey guys, not sure you're into heavy metal or not, but here's a link to my heavy metal anti-vax song YouTube entitled Serpent's Bite. Enjoy. And there's a link there. I'll leave the link in the description or the show notes for people who want to check it out later on. What happened to my... Oh, gosh. This is kind of a disaster, to be honest. I didn't mean for this to be so horrible. My main document disappeared. Okay, here it is. All right, hold on. I'm just going to drop this link in there. Thank you very much, William F. Appreciate it. Adding you to the list. Come on, internet. Internet's really, it's really testing my patience today with this document not loading. Come on, I need this document to load so we can do the producers. Oh my goodness. Are we still live? This is really bad. Oh, everything is slowing down. My internet has stopped working. At least the Dropbox here when I'm trying to open a document that tells me everything I need to talk about. All right. Okay. Waiting. Here we go. Document is back. And what was I doing? I was putting in William F. on the list. Here we go. Come on, Doc. Here we go. William F. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, that... have you ever typed something and then you find out it didn't type on the screen? Happens a lot using, we use Dropbox paper. William F. Thank you. Okay, here we go. William F. And I think William F. is on a streak, if I'm not mistaken. Oh boy. Is it 2 episodes? No, 2. Hold on. 2, 3, 4. Is it 4 episodes or is it 5? I don't know, but you're on a streak. This is not going well. 4 or 5 is what I'll say for William F. Thank you, William F. Trying to do this in order here. Okay, next up, Jackie Humphrey. Thank you, Jackie. Jackie comes in with 1232, and it's 1166 plus fees. Thank you very much. I think she's on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Jackie, you on a streak. Sorry. This is how long it takes for us to prep, by the way. This is the kind of thing we're doing when we're prepping for the show, which is why sometimes it takes so long. I believe it was 9 episodes in a row, which means you're lit.
Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Yeah, you're lit now, Jackie. You 9 episodes in a row. Okay, I think we got through all except one, which is from it's actually an associate executive producership from Clifton P. Thank you, Clifton P, coming in at 102.67.
Yes, you man, you are executive associate, bro. Just for this episode, enjoy it while it lasts.
And no, thank you very much, Clifton P. You are our Associate Executive Director for episode 428. Let me put that in there just to make sure. And I didn't see a note or anything, so if you did send one, might have to read it next episode. But there you go. I am very sorry that was so bumpy, but I think we got through all the producers for this episode. If I got anything wrong, please let me know, producers, and we will make it right on the next episode. And I'll be shamed by Greta, the whole deal. So thank you to all the producers who came in. Real quick, I do want to call upon the producers.
Producers, assemble!
We did get a note from Child of God, and just real briefly, he said, please continue to pray for my father who's in the hospital. They're now telling me he has long-haul COVID. They told me the people who are unvaccinated tend to get this. Please pray for healing and salvation for him. And just wanted to, ask for prayer for his father. So, and he also says in the note here, a fellow brother at my church showed me something interesting about Antarctica. He showed me information on Coronation Island, Delta Island, Omicron Island, Rothschild Island, and Rockefeller Island. You may want to look further into this. There are full wikis on these islands. These islands were administered under the Antarctic Treaty System. Yeah, not surprising there. But there you go. Thank you very much, Child of God, for the note, for the producership, but more importantly, producers, pray for Child of God's father. They're saying he has COVID, long-haul COVID now, and he's in the hospital. So prayers out to your father there. And also, I just want to say that I did receive in the snail mail a note and some accessories from Dame Madeline. I'm going to save that for next episode. So Dame Madeline, we did get the note from you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're going to read that note and do the whole thing on the next episode. And I'm going to keep going here. We're going to thank people coming in with their time and talent as well. Again, shorter show today. Just want to get in, hit a couple big stories, thank all the producers out there, head out, and then call it a year. But Jackie Yu, thank you very much for doing the timestamps for episode 427. And stepping in and appreciate that. I know it helps out people, especially on YouTube, for people skipping around. So thank you for that, Jackie Yu. And it's his time. We didn't get any jingles, I don't think. Yeah, no jingles today. but we do have some art.
One art, please.
And we're going to start with Dame Allie.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And the note from Allie, or the note that accompanies it, says here, it's, I'm for the robots. Then the note says, this was the initial tweet edited to remove implied profanity that inspired the article that inspired the drawing. And there's a screenshot here of... hold on, let me see if I can actually just move the screenshot into... Oh, I can, okay. So the screenshot is of a lady here. I think it's either a tweet or Instagram or something like that. And they say, my 10-year-old just asked Alexa on her Echo for a challenge, and this is what she said. And this is Alexa responding. Here's something I found on the web. According to ourcommunitynow.com, the challenge is simple. Plug in a phone charger about halfway into a wall a wall outlet, then touch a penny to the exposed prongs. Yeah, electrocute yourself is the advice that a 10-year-old got from Alexa on a challenge to do. Yeah, not good. Not good at all. So to commemorate this story, which I believe there's a link to the story in the note as well. Yes, the full story was from Huffington Post. Alexa attempts to set off robot revolt by telling kid to touch live plug with penny. An Amazon Echo challenged a 10-year-old girl to touch a coin to the prongs of a half-inserted plug, her mother tweeted. Yeah, not good for Alexa. You know, part of this too is like if Amazon gets sued or whatever, are they going to just be like, well, it was the AI, it was an algorithm, you know, it's not really our fault. We will just put up measures to protect people from this. I don't know who's liable for something like this. Happens to be multi-billion-dollar company. So the art piece here, the piece drawn by Allie, has a wall socket, very well drawn wall socket, your standard dual 3-prong socket, and then your Amazon, I think this is the Echo, or maybe it's the Alexa, and it's some of the icons on there. You got an X. I think that's a shopping cart. Could be wrong about that. And then there's a microphone button, and then there's the death button on the Alexa or Echo, whichever one this is. And there's a little speech bubble, but a speech line here with the Echo or Alexa. Oh my gosh, I'm completely messing this up. The Alexa is saying, "You got a fork?" Good job. Good job, Allie. Great job again capturing the sentiment here of the robot revolution through Alexa and through charcoal. Great work. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Ruspeltia. Come on, Jingle.
One art, please, from Dove.
And Dove has a note here, and he says, actually, this is a note from Mrs. Dove. Mrs. Dove, I'm sending in Dove's art for today since he's had a really bad migraine since last night. Oh, no. Here is this week's NWO Fantasy League players. He hasn't had a chance to review it yet, but it should be all good. Keep doing what you guys do, and we'll keep praying for you. And yes, we have 4 more players in the New World Order Fantasy League. In the upper left-hand corner, we have Shilzilla. Age 45, location Atlanta, Georgia. Specialty, world-class shilling. And some of the bullet points here. Twitter account exclusively followed by bots and Chris Shilzilla. Expert browbeater. Take 3 points from opponent anytime their CNN player scores. Ah, that's a good one. On the top right, we have the war-hardened goblin, is Alex Jones in the Meatverse. Age 47, location Austin, Texas. Specialty, yelling. The tip of the spear in keeping all amphibians heterosexual. Responsible for getting golden statue of Drumpf erected on Mars. 10 points any animal-human hybrid mention. 10 points any Mars mention. Oh, so you got Mars and animal-human hybrid. Anytime they're mentioned, that's when the war-hardened goblin scores points. And now we have on the bottom left here is Hard Seltzer. It's Brian Seltzer in the Meatverse. And Hard Seltzer is 36 years old. Is he really 36? Brian Stelter's 36? Hold on, I gotta look that up. I gotta find out how old Brian Stelter is. Oh my gosh, Brian Stelter's 36. I'm older than Brian Stelter? Oh no. I feel like I'm having a midlife crisis. Oh, I don't know. That doesn't make me feel good. I'm older than Brian Stelter. All right, so anyway, Hard Seltzer in the game. 36 years old, also from Atlanta, Georgia. Specialty, aggressive smugness. Some bullet points. 33 calories, 0 gram truth, 100% punchable. Yes, 100% punchable. May end up being last CNN personality to be Me Too'd. Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to get Me Too'd. Unless it's like Me Too'd against cookies or something. I don't know. And last power, pay attention to me. 6 points any week not mentioned. Aha. Very good. And then the last guy here, character in the NWO Fantasy League that Sir Dove has spun up is the Horseman, Joe Rogan. In the Meatverse, 54 years of age, Austin, Texas is the location. Specialty, Church of Psychedelics Youth Minister. Ah, that's good. Does not now, nor has ever worked with the agency. Ah. Smokes DMT and hangs out with elves. 10 points anytime entheogens mentioned. Good one. 3 points anytime Basil brings up the Horseman in an unrelated article. Okay, I like this. It's gamifying to the way we report things, which is, I think, part of the fun of how this is all going to play out with the New World Order Fantasy League. And, well, there might be some more development on that as we get into 2022. But thank you very much, Sir Dove. Appreciate the artwork. And looking forward to 2022 from all the artists and jingle makers. I think we're going to have a great year of people contributing their time and talent as we build the culture here. And again, there's certain things I want to say, but I can't really say yet. And because it is kind of a huge task, and there's a lot of development and planning and stuff that needs to happen as we move forward here. So I don't want to say too much, but part of what we hope the producers will be is a contributing factor in this direction that we're moving in, and growing as the Canarium begins to perpetrate out there and wake people up, and rattling cages out there. So thank you very much, Sir Dove, Ali, Dame Ali, that is, and all the producers who came in with their time and talent. We are going to thank... Oh, well, hold on. We got a microfiction. This is like the most cringe break ever, I would imagine, for those of you listening, especially people who listen for a while. This is kind of where we need Basil back, to keep things moving, keep things flowing, and comment on things when I mess things up. So, all right. So Rung Smash comes in with the microfiction. Here it is. as they reached the article about the space pope declaring that the moon tardigrades have ascended beyond humans, both Basil and Gonz receive a text from an blocked number. Welcome back. We've missed you. NSA. Basil is speechless as Gonz reads on. Ooh, that's a creepy scene right there. You get a text message from the NSA? I don't like this. I don't like where this is headed. Thank you very much, Rung Smash, for the, again, continuing to build the microfiction. We haven't seen Ryan N in a while with the graphic novel. But, yeah, all these different things, we're looking forward to just seeing how it all unfolds in 2022. Real quick, we'll go through the meetups here.
Canary Meetup.
Go to CanaryCry.Meetups.com and look for people having a meetup near you, or if they're not, or if there isn't a meetup happening near you, go ahead and make your own. Choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, and promote it. And we will help you promote it. Ciara has been doing Zoom meetups since the beginning here, every third Saturday of the month. And there will be another one in January. You can email ciaralauren93@gmail.com to connect with her, to let her know you're going to be there. Or if you're going to be at the Washington and Canada Canary Cry Community Meetup, it's going to be at the Peace Arch National Park on March 19th, 2022, 12 noon. And yeah, still a few months out, but contact ciaralauren93@gmail.com if you have any interest in joining Ciara and whoever else will be there at the Washington and Canada meetup. We have the North Idaho meetup coming up on January 9th, led by Josiah. That's the North Idaho Coeur d'Alene meetup part 2. Sunday, January 9th at 3:33 p.m. It will be a 2030 agenda-themed white elephant gift exchange. Email josiahbdyer@gmail.com to receive the location information. And later in January, we got a couple happening on the same day. On January 22nd, we have Florida meetup, the Florida Panhandle CCC meetup at 5:33 p.m. at the Ye Old Brothers Brewery, Navarre, Florida. Kids welcome. RSVP kmbrown815@gmail.com and jackie.umfrey@mail.com if you want to join them at the Florida Panhandle meetup. Or if you're up the coast a little bit, same day, January 22nd, the South Carolina meetup. It's actually a meetup for anybody in the Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina areas. RSVP sccanarians@protonmail.com. It's the South Carolina Super Southeast Mega Meetup. And that'll be happening at 4:30 p.m. at the Yeehaw Brewing Co. in Greensville, South Carolina. So there you go. There's a couple meetups happening on the same day, January 22nd, Florida and South Carolina. So there you go. If you're in that area, you got Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho, January 9th, and Washington, Canada in March, led by Ciara. If there's anybody else who wants to lead a meetup, just shoot us an email or shoot one of these people who have run or are running a meetup. Shoot them an email, and they will help you put it all together. So there you go. That's the meetup update.
This is fun!
All right. I think we can go back and finish out a couple stories. Wrap up 2021 here.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And I want to wake up, but again, documents disappearing. What are we talking about? We're talking about the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This is kind of it's a beast system, but it's also like a little woke story platform. But I read this thinking it was one thing, turned out to be another thing. Bloomberg.com. Headline here. Experts pull documents, money from Lee statue time capsule. So they keep using this phrase time capsule. But it's anyway. Let me just read what it says here. I'm not going to read the entire thing, just to get an idea. Conservation experts in Virginia's capital pulled books, money, ammunition, documents, and other artifacts Tuesday from a long sought-after time capsule found in the remnants of a pedestal that once held a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Over the course of about 2 hours, the team sliced open the 36-pound copper box and meticulously pried apart and documented the damp contents. The box had been tucked in a foundation cornerstone of a massive and now mostly deconstructed Richmond monument since 1887. The time capsule had drawn substantial interest both because it proved to be elusive during an earlier search and because historical records had led to some speculation it might contain a rare photo of President Abraham Lincoln after his death. Ultimately, such a photo was not found. Then it goes into, there's an expert here. There's also a video that shows them kind of, preserving it. They're going to freeze it and whatever. One of the experts, quote here, quote, "They were more waterlogged than we had hoped, but not as bad as it could have been," said Kate Ridgway, the lead conservator for the Virginia Department of Historic Resources. The time capsule, they keep saying time capsule, had been found a day earlier, buried and sitting in water by workers wrapping up the removal of the Lee statue pedestal. And then later, it says here, contemporaneous news accounts from the late 1800s detailed the placement of the box in the cornerstone of the pedestal, but a lengthy search during the statue removal came up empty. Earlier this month, Northam ordered the pedestal removal as well, and crews working on the project again started to search for the artifact. A different time capsule was discovered 2 weeks ago. Okay, so is this not the time capsule that you've been talking about this whole time? A different time capsule was discovered 2 weeks ago, generating excitement, but hours of painstaking and ultimately anticlimactic examination suggested that artifact was placed by someone else, perhaps someone involved with the construction. Okay, wah, wah, wah. Ridgway goes on to talk about some of the things here about the Lincoln picture. It wasn't a picture, it was a print. It could have been from a picture, yada, yada, yada. It's not an original, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Along with several waterlogged books, pamphlets, and newspapers, the box contained an envelope of Confederate money, which conservators carefully separated, and 2 carved artifacts. A Masonic symbol and a Confederate flag that's said to have been made from the tree that grew over General Stonewall Jackson's original grave. There you go. They're uncovering Masonic symbol artifacts in this non-story story. Okay, so again, interesting little detail here. Conservators also pulled buttons, coins, and minier balls. Am I saying that right? I don't think I'm saying that right. Minier balls, a type of bullet used in the Civil War, from the box. A bomb squad had checked the capsule Monday, partly to make sure there was no live ammunition inside. Yeah, because, when they put the thing in there 200 years ago, they were like, hey, let's explode whoever opens that stuff up 200 years from now. Ridgway, which is the conservator here, told reporters after the box had been emptied that there was some question about whether calling the vessel a time capsule was the most accurate terminology, as it did not appear to have a definitive date when it was expected to have been opened. Quote, a cornerstone box is probably more accurate, she says. So this whole article, the headline calls it a time capsule. And in the article, the main person that's interviewed says, I shouldn't really call it a time capsule. So what is it? What is this even for? Like, this is such a non-story. It's ridiculous. I think it was just meant to be like, hey, we're opening things up. We're exposing Robert E. Lee and the Confederate thing, and throwing them Masonic symbol. so the woke crowd can also jump on the anti-New World Order bandwagon or something. I don't know. But yeah, this is a complete non-story from the headline, or at least an inaccurate headline. And again, it showed the videos, and yeah, okay, interesting. But this whole idea of exposing history is part of our move into Web3, into the metaverse, and all this kind of stuff, because it's truly, it is exposing the faults of our history, our current infrastructure, and, you know, having the Robert E. Lee statue be taken down as part of this cultural movement. It all just seems to be tying in together. So, all right. So there it is. That's the story about the time capsule that's not really a time capsule. Bloomberg. Is it Bloomberg? Yeah, Bloomberg. Putting time capsules in the head. Yeah, it truly is. You know, I know the temptations of making headlines sound juicy. You know, I made a lot of YouTube videos. You know, other than the Canary Cry News Talk episodes, hundreds and hundreds of videos, and you know, you got to title them. And yeah, there was a point in time where I thought, oh my gosh, I can determine or at least influence how clickbaitable or clickbait the headline is, and it'll probably work to some extent. If I say something a certain way, even if what I'm talking about more specifically is not exactly that, you know, maybe I'll get more clicks. And one of the videos actually was a prediction video, like predictions for September 2015 or something like that. Not saying that it will happen, just these are some things that may happen. And, you know, people said, oh, you're making predictions. No, but also that for whatever reason, people clicked on that video a lot. YouTube loved it. They shared it or whatever. Had over 1 million views, but it had something to do with the title. So I know the title it matters. But in this case, it's just interesting how they're like, you know, they're just straight up using time capsule when in the article, the main person they interview is like, not a time capsule. Speaking of which, where are we going? Where's my document? Okay, we're still in the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
But we're going a little more, I guess, for the lack of a better word, aliens. Not really, but kind of. This is breezyscroll.com, which, by the way, I've seen a lot of stories be shared on Breezy Scroll recently. I don't know if it's like a new platform or if it's an aggregator or what, but they have a little thread here of interesting stories. But this first one, the main one that I wanted to bring to you here, 3,500-year-old mummy of an Egyptian pharaoh digitally unwrapped. Digitally unwrapped. What does that even mean? And it says here, Egyptian lives of the past and their mummified remains have always been fascinating to modern humans. Quote, by digitally unwrapping the mummy and peeling off its virtual layers, the face mask, the bandage, and the mummy itself, we could study this well-preserved pharaoh in unprecedented detail, said Dr. Sahar Salih. Dr. Salim is a professor, is it Salih or Salim? Is a professor of radiology at Cairo University Faculty of Medicine. She's also the radiologist for the Egyptian Mummy Project. Quote, nowadays, we do not physically unwrap mummies anymore. We preserve our heritage and study them with non-invasive techniques, she added. The researchers employed a three-dimensional computerized tomography, or CT scan, for unwrapping and studying the mummy of the Egyptian pharaoh. The study was published in Frontiers in Medicine on Tuesday. Hence, the new development will provide fascinating insights into the life of the Egyptian pharaoh. Quote, for the first time, we can know information about the mummy without disturbing the mummy, stated Zahi Hawass. Hawass, the prominent Egyptologist, is the co-author of the study. So this is a Hawass article, study, sponsored study, I guess. And he was like the gatekeeper of a lot of the pyramid stuff for a while. I think he stepped down from his official role of, I can't remember what it was, some kind of government role or scientist role in government or something like that. But now they it's very strange that they're deconstructing the mummies digitally. CTs, I get it, preserve the body, you can still study it, whatever. But I think what's more interesting about this is that the data that is collected from these types of scans will inform, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again, the metaverse. Because in theory, you can recreate anything. You can create anything in the metaverse, right? It is the oasis of Ready Player One. Think of it that way. We're a long way from really getting there to that degree of what Real Player One sort of captured in the movie and the book and everything. But generally speaking, we're moving in that direction. And digitization of everything is happening. And, when we take ancient artifacts and we start to digitize them, it's very easy to then upload that data into the metaverse and to create displays, characters, or whatever in the metaverse, and make these ancient people or beings, whatever you want to call it, come to life. And yes, people are commenting on the shape of the skull here from the CT scan of the mummy. And yeah, it certainly looks a little more like an elongated skull, but we don't know if that's from headboarding or is it a DNA thing? Don't know. There's always been that speculation, especially with the Egyptian pharaohs, that there's something else going on with them, not necessarily exactly human. And that's a possibility. But in terms of today, we're digitizing stuff to the extent to which the past is going to resurrect itself, or potentially can resurrect themselves, or at the very least, let me not say resurrect, animate themselves in the metaverse. And I don't know if I'm going to write this as an article or put together a video or something like that, but I've been hashing out this idea that the metaverse itself, if you actually take a philosophical slash cosmological slash theological approach to what the metaverse is, I think you can take what we're doing by building the metaverse and argue the existence of God. I know it sounds crazy, but follow me here, just very basic logic. But the metaverse, apart from the AI, there will be AIs to build metaverses. But right now, when you create a virtual space or some kind of virtual world, there are projects out there, Meta being one of them, but there's others. Right now, in crypto, there's a whole thing exploding with metaverse gaming slash just metaverses. Decentraland is a metaverse for businesses and whatever. The Sandbox is another metaverse, kind of like a little more pixelated. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. The game that all the kids played, Minecraft. It's kind of like Minecraft, but it's a limited world. Digital assets, you can actually have one of one. We've talked about all this before with NFTs and everything else. You can have scarcity and uniqueness in the digital realm, which is the big breakthrough of Bitcoin and blockchain and digital currencies and all that kind of stuff. It allowed digital scarcity to exist. And so in that world, we're going to just build all the stuff. And within it, we have to inform the very nature of that world, of the space in the metaverse. And what I mean by that is you can set the gravity level, you can set day-night cycles, you can set pretty much anything you want within that realm in the metaverse. But here's the thing. It requires an intelligent designer and a human being, a human mind, or a collection of human minds to build it, which, logically deducing, our world, our physical world, which has parameters, by the way. We have the rules within our universe. There's, the scientists loosely call some of those rules the laws of physics. There's laws of thermodynamics. People have been trying to describe what these forces are that exist in mathematical form, all of it. The whole universe, our world, is constructed with unseen information. Where does unseen information come from? If it's not from a transcendent, intelligent designer, right? That's kind of there's kind of an appeal to what is the argument, the ontological argument for the existence of God, that, things seem fine-tuned for life to exist. And so I think it's very interesting. And most people talking about the metaverse will not make this connection. But if you point it out enough, I think some people will wake up to the fact that building a metaverse, a universe within itself with all these rules and dimensions and everything else, is a reflection of perhaps what God did in creating the world we live in. And, it goes both ways. On one hand, we can't get past the material stuff here. Like, we're never going to find out what exactly is going on underneath the material by looking for more material. And that's where philosophical materialism and the atheists and everybody else, they lose the argument when it comes to a scholarly or a debate between the atheists types and the anti-God people or people who don't believe in God with the people who do believe in God. There's a divide, but the arguments always seem to break down with, okay, well, meaning and purpose, but also what informed all this to happen. And the atheist has to appeal to authority and to theory, like evolution, like, time plus chance, but they can't answer the why at all. And so anyway, these are all philosophical and theological and cosmological arguments, all sort of melding together. But as we build our own metaverse to exist in, I think it's very, very fascinating that not only does it prove the existence of God, but it also prompts a open rebellion of God. And I think that's where we're going to see, as it were in the days of Noah, some strange things happen and some strange things be represented and play out and maybe, exist in the metaverse as an option for people to experience. And there are many philosophical implications that have to do with this. One of the things that I think I brought up a long time ago, I'll bring it up just briefly now, are the ethical and moral questions about certain behaviors in the metaverse. And I didn't bring it up with the phrase metaverse when I brought this up a few years ago, but it is a philosophical question. Okay. And the question is, if, for example, as an example, let's see we have some pedophiles, right? I would argue it is a mental disease of some kind to have these attractions. The people who are pedophiles, there's something, the wiring is not correct in terms of their attraction to other people. Well, there's an argument that says, well, what if they are allowed to do that in the metaverse? They're not actually hurting real children. They're just living out their desires in a virtual realm. They're not hurting anybody. Is it okay? And it's a good philosophical question, because some people might say, well, if they're not hurting anybody, then yeah, sure. If they're into that, let them do their thing in their own corner of the internet or whatever it may be. But my argument has always been, no, that is still wrong, because number one, the person conducting it, the pedophile, is hurting themselves by participating in this act, even if it's a virtual version of it. And second of all, the fact that it exists and the fact that there is some kind of temporary pleasure that comes out of this means that it is a flippant thing. It's not really helping this person's life, fulfilling certain desires isn't necessarily fulfilling their life. So I would argue, no, not a good idea, shouldn't exist. You know, that if you want to help these people, you got to help these people at a personal level. And sometimes it may be impossible to help these people. I haven't heard much about helping pedophiles per se. Most of what I hear is down with the pedophiles, lock them up. True. I mean, like for the most part, especially if they act on it, like, yeah, you need to go to jail. And I think, you know, morally in general, most people agree with that. But when we get into these metaverses, do those rules still apply? And I would argue they should, but they may not. And so I guess the greater point here is that number one, we make the rules, the boundaries, and what's acceptable and not acceptable in the metaverse. And again, that seems to point to this idea that there is something, an intelligence that transcends our world that has determined certain things about our world, about how molecules work, about how actions affect the world around us, our emotions, things of that nature. So, yeah, I just think it prompts all of these things. We are at a time when every discipline, as I've mentioned, philosophy, theology, cosmology, but many others, many different sectors, military, education, medicine, obviously, we've seen. What else? Corporation or corporate, financial or economic. Every sector, every discipline is being affected with the advancement of this technology. And the social aspect of it will be very interesting as we move into 2022. We're going to see different kinds of social movements represent themselves in new and unfamiliar ways. And I think a lot of it is going to have to do with blockchain, crypto, NFT, metaverse, because the technology allows people to just develop it. And not everything will stick, obviously, but I think we're going to see a quote-unquote Cambrian explosion of projects that promise to do stuff like that, and projects that are kind of the gateway to bringing people on board into the metaverse. And it will be important for the gospel message of Jesus Christ to remain available, openly available in the metaverse. And that's all I'll say about that. Okay. 2 hours in, I'm going to call it a show. Again, a little shorter today, but I think we're good. I think we are good. We're wrapping up 2021. What a year. We made it almost. We're right about where I thought we would be with the pandemic. I knew they would stretch it out, but I felt like they were going to lose momentum, and they'll do some, a lot of the clamping down and things like that might get really aggressive towards the end of it. But I can see in 2022 the slow release of the pandemic narrative and the explosion of climate. And I think COVID will become part of the climate conversation, the health conversation, our system is broken, we need it fixed conversation. And that's where all these developing technologies will swoop in and save the day as we tap our brains into the noosphere. So there you go. All right. Our next episode will be either Monday the 3rd, or I think I have to take that day off. I have family stuff going on that day. So if I have it my way, we will be back on the 4th of January as the first show of 2022. And then we will go from there. But I think Basil will be back by then. And we'll march into 2022 together, and we'll continue to deconstruct the news and comment on things from a biblical, prophetic lens. And so look forward to that. But until then, thank you guys. Have a great New Year's. Stay safe. think last year somebody went deaf, someone blew off their hand. I think a couple people died from fireworks. So yeah, stay away from the fireworks if you're one of those people. What else here? I don't think there's anything else to mention. Go to CanaryCry.Party, connect with us, and look for a newsletter. I think I'll send one out with a couple of the show notes for this week and maybe a little note about the end of the year and what we have planned for next year. And so look for that. CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
Go there, become a producer of the show. We will need more producers in 2022, especially if we're going to pull off what's been brewing in my mind, at least. I know in Basil's brain too, but I've been frantically and furiously jotting notes and stuff about this grand plan of mine, but it will not happen without your contribution and your producership. So we will need producers for the next episode and for the next year. Thank you to all of you who have stepped up in 2021. It was a great year. It was really a defining year for Canary Cry News Talk to really be truly a sustainable thing here. I think when Basil and I started to do the 3 times a week thing, there was a big part of me that's like, I don't think we can sustain this. Like the amount of time and energy it takes to run 3 episodes a week like this, I don't think the financial compensation is going to match the time and energy that we put in. And at a certain point in the last year, it got to a place where it felt like, okay, I think we can make this happen 3 times a week, multiple hours a day, and bringing you guys the news and deconstructing it and commenting on it and everything else and building up this community. I think we can do this. So it was because of you. It really was because of you. So thank you very much, all the producers, for keeping this show not only going, but just really pushing it forward into the future. As the world changes, it's like riding a wave, the direction changes, the flow of the wave changes, but we have to shift along with it, and we hope that you producers come with us along that journey. Let's see. Artists. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll just thank all the producers on a list. So, okay. So for producers of episode 428, we have Shoefly, who is our executive producer. Thank you very much. Very generous. We have Clifton P., who was the associate executive producer. Thank you very much. And then wanted to thank all the calendar producers and the rest of the producers. We have Soha S., Lewis S., Spiritually Minded, Rochelle S., Jonathan W., Chad C., Little Winged One, Spears Desert, Julie S., Heather Sir Russ, William F., Morv, Jackie U., Sir Samon's Knight of the Fishes, JC, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, Palmer B., my lady, Palmer B., Josiah S., Veronica D., Gail M., Doctor Who Done That, Runk Smash, Amanda P., and I think that's it for the financial treasure supporters. Nightmare King and Rooster, thank you very much for your patronage. Jackie U., thank you for the timestamps. Dame Alley of the Skillet Nation, Sir Dove, Knight of Ruspeltia, thank you for the art. Runk Smash, thank you for the microfiction. Child of God, we'll be praying for your father there, and that is it. Okay. All right. I think we're good. Do I have anything else? Is there anything else? I don't think so. All right. Here we go. We're gonna end the show. we're gonna end 2021 with a couple jingles. Oh, here's what you can do moving into 2022. This will be a great way, maybe this could be one of your New Year's resolutions, is to, because, people always follow through with that, right? Is rattle someone's cage. Somebody in your family, your friends, somebody that you haven't really told them about the show, tell them about the show. That'll be your assignment moving into 2022. And then if you do that, then you can feel good about getting something accomplished in the new year, a New Year resolution, and then you won't have that thing. What is that? The opposite of placebo, the nocebo. You will not have the nocebo effect and feel negative about yourself. You will feel positive about yourself, and you will rejoice in the Lord. So there you go. All you got to do is walk right up to that person, grab him by the cage, and shake him.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Ask Noah. Furf in the chat. I've rattled my dad's cage for over a decade, and he's only become more of an atheist and bootlicker. Oh man, sorry about that, Furf. We'll be praying for your father as well. Maybe we need a bigger rattling. I don't know. If anybody has any ideas out there of how you can rattle someone's cage, let us know. Or maybe Furf's dad's cage somehow. I think there are certain things you can debate with atheists, at least in my experience, thanks to some very brilliant people that have come before me, the philosophers and theologians that are out there right now. You can get atheists into a corner, like philosophically in an argument, that kind of forces them to admit either nihilism, that nothing matters, or that if there is meaning and purpose in life, that perhaps there is a God. So I've done it a few times with some of my atheist friends. It's always fun to do because, they don't have an answer really for certain things about reality. So don't give up, Furf. Keep rattling that cage, and one day it'll happen. So thank you very much. See you next year. Think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Pay them more.
He's got the solution for the problems that he created. So step right up for the great reset. For the great reset. Hiding in the shadows. He's always behind the scenes. Holding on the first
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God actually say you shall not eat of any tree in the garden?" And the woman said to the serpent, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden. But God said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die." But the serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate. Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this that you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." The Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock, and above all beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." To the woman he said, "I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be contrary to your husband, but he shall rule over you." And to Adam he said, "Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For you are dust, and to dust you shall return."
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Give me a break.
We're all gonna die.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Keep yapping, man.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Blah, blah.
I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
Vaccination. We're all gonna die. I am vaccinated.
zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
And melt those babies into candles.